There's a saying that I like that I want to share with you. What got you here won't get you there. And I think it's particularly applicable to the transition from working to retirement. So let's go for a walk and talk about why I feel this way. And it's a little windy today, so I've got to keep our walk short, but we'll find some nooks and cranny that are out of the wind. Okay, why do I say this? Well, I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years and I've helped hundreds of families. And, one of the most perplexing challenges for me is, I've worked with families for a long time. I know what their financial goals are. Often, the last 20 years have been very strong in the stock market. And it's surprisingly difficult to get people that said that they want to retire, when they hit this number, it's surprisingly difficult to actually get folks to make that leap. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about why is it challenging for people to make this leap, and what can I do as their financial advisor to help them make the decision that's right for them, and for them to use their time wisely, to not stay on autopilot during this important period. I call it the youth of your senior years, right? And so many people, we take our health for granted and we think that our health is going to last forever, but unfortunately it doesn't. If you're 60 years old, you likely have less than 1,000 weeks remaining of healthy active time. This is really important time for people. And unfortunately, a lot of folks go through it. It's also a good time in your life, right? A lot of folks, yes, we're empty nesters and yes, we miss our kids. But it's also a time where most of us still have our health. If you're over 50, I'm talking about people that are late 40s to 63 to 65. I mean, once you hit 65, you're really not retiring early, but you still want to be thoughtful about when you leave. So, why is it challenging? Part of it is it's just such a fun period in our lives, right? We still have our health. We've completed a number of the big responsibilities that life has thrown at us. Well, the biggest of which, if you have kids, is raising your kids and putting them first, and really putting in the time and the effort and the love and focus on your kids, and growing these young adults until they can go out on their own. And it's incredibly rewarding. In fact, as I record this, in 2 weekends. 2 weekends from now, I get to go out and watch my oldest daughter, my first to graduate from college. She's going to graduate, and I get to do that. I'm so looking forward to that. In part because she's so looking forward to starting her adult life. So it's a special time in our lives, and it's just hard to think about the next chapter, right? It's a very comfortable place in our lives, but a lot of folks have sacrificed, as we're raising our kids, we're paying off our mortgage, we're saving for college, we're saving for retirement. We have a lot of weight on our shoulders. If you're an American, your health care is likely provided by your employer. And so you're constantly worried about, you've got to give 110% at work. You've got to deliver results. Because otherwise you're going to lose your health care. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So we've had all this pressure. It's a nice time in our life, and a lot of us just kind of coast. We just stay on autopilot, and we don't really give the serious thinking. But again, if you're 60 years old, you likely have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time remaining, and that's not a lot of time. And so you want to be thoughtful and you want to be deliberate. For instance, I'm turning 59 here in a couple of weeks, right? I'm going to be 60 really soon. The reality is, I fall into that category as well. Who knows? I'm now in the 1,000 weeks of healthy active time remaining. And I do what I can to stay healthy. I think I've shared before, I'm vegan. I'm vegan for health reasons. I'm now what I call a practical vegan. I was a very strict vegan for 5 years. But I've decided to be practical, and I think I get 99.99% of the benefits of that by, if there is no vegan option when I go out to a restaurant, that I'll consider things that might be vegetarian or maybe even not even vegetarian, occasionally, not often. But, I think my health is good, but I'm one heart attack, I'm one stroke away from losing my health. So I have to be very thoughtful and very deliberate about how much longer, in my case, I continue to work. And I encourage you to be thoughtful and considerate about how much longer you consider working, right? Most of my channel is about, financial issues and making sure that you're investing properly and you're saving enough. And I should say none of this is financial advice, right? I don't know your situation. I love the fact that some of you have commented that you go for walks with me, or you sit down for your morning cup of coffee and we have a cup of coffee together. I love that. And despite the fact that this feels like a close relationship, and I love the fact that people feel that way, the reality is I don't know your situation, so I cannot give you financial advice. But I can give you some things to think about, some things for you to research. In previous videos, I talked about IRAs, I talked about 401ks, and saving strategies and health savings accounts and withdrawals, tax efficient withdrawal strategies. None of that's tax advice. But today's video is really about, I think for most people, again, I've helped hundreds of families. I think most people are about 100 hours of reflective work away from being able to make the right decision for them as to when they retire, right? To be able to answer the question, who are you? Outside of work, outside of being a mom or being a dad, outside of our responsibilities, who are you? And what really gets you excited and passionate in the day? I think that's a super important question. I think most of us are less than 100 hours away from doing that. I've suggested some courses that I've taken in the past that's helped me with my reflective work. My journey is not your journey. But I have found the older I get, the more the quotes of the Stoics resonate with me. And the one in particular that really gets me focused is the unexamined life is not worth living. I remember memorizing that as probably a freshman in high school, maybe a sophomore. And thinking, okay, well, I've got it memorized, but really never internalizing. What does that mean? What is the unexamined life? What is that? And really the unexamined life is us not thinking about our life. So, I think reading some books can be super helpful. This concept is really reflective philosophy. So that's one thing to search on. I've mentioned before some books that I found to be super helpful. And those would include Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks. They'd include Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. They'd include The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. The list just goes on and on. In fact, Viktor Frankl's book, The Meaning of Life, is a super important book. So just anything that gets you thinking about what's really important in your life. And if your health were to go away tomorrow, what would you regret? And I found, and I'm going to do a video on this. I haven't done it yet. In the future, if you'd like a video like this, let me know. And speaking of that, if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor, leave me a thumbs up. It really does help the YouTube algorithm find other viewers that this can help. Videos like mine can help. And also think about subscribing and leave me a comment. I love reading your comments. But Viktor Frankl's book, The Meaning of Life, I think is super important and just, showing us how adaptable we all are. I've said it before, when you work with a financial planner, first off, I think you should work with a fee-only financial planner because a fee-only financial planner has a fiduciary duty to you. And what that means is they're not going to try to sell you something. They're going to use their brains and experience to help you as opposed to, maybe sell you a product that has a higher commission. So I think it's worth working with somebody if you don't have kind of an idea of how to go through this process yourself. I think most of us are less than 100 hours away from being able to really have the thoughtfulness and the reflectivity to make the right decision for us and our families. And if you enjoyed this video, this is more of a qualitative video. If you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to like this video up here about average income in retirement. in this video down here that talks about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Thanks for watching today. Bye-bye.